So guys, we're just gonna start right here on this corner. This right here is my Freedom Art blackberries. And y'all can see I pruned the tops off. Try to make them bush out to have more blackberries this year. My elephant garlic. You can see it's starting to make bulbs and go to seed, so it's getting time to harvest them. Garlic chives. There's a little mixture of some forget-me-nots and maybe some zinnias. I ain't sure what all flowers, that's just flowers, guys. See, the pot of cilantro has come on strong. I need to start dehydrating me some of that. Dill. There's some oregano. In that pot right there is parsley. Then we have sage. And then we have some more flowers. At one time I could tell you what they are. Now I can't even remember which ones I planted where. But that's all in them, just flowers. Now I know in that pot right there I stuck some marigolds. And in this pot down here I got my little rosemary. Had my rosemary bush there, done got about 4 foot tall. Been there 3 years. That 10 degrees got it this year, so I had to start over. So down through there, guys, is 2 rows of the watermelons. And they're starting to grow a little bit. But man, these 50-degree nights we've been having, I planted these out way too early. And for 3 weeks now, we've had 50-degree nights. A couple nights was a little under 50. And they sat here and didn't do nothing. But they starting to come along. Now we got some sugar babies, some orangelo, some seeds I saved out of a watermelon from Smith County, Mississippi. And then we got a white watermelon. Right now I can't remember the name of it. And then we got the gold on gold watermelons. We got, I think, 3 plants of each. Now this tomato plant that's stuck over here by itself is the hyacinator. That's the one that I pinched the top off of when it was a seedling. And you see how it forked out. And I'm testing it. I know this will work great on indeterminate tomatoes, but a hyacinator is a determinate tomato bred by cicada. And they're bred to where they're supposed to have their good leaf cover and all without pruning and such. But I want to test this and see how it does, doing it my way, by training me 2 vines, if you want to call them that, up the string. Plus these are inside a cage also. In between each of these trellises, I just stuck a zipper cream pea. That there's my Christmas lima beans on this first trellis. Cold ain't doing them no good, but they starting to come along. But now we finna get 2 more days of rain. This trellis here was my Italian flat green beans, seeds from Italy. They coming on looking good. And down here on this trellis is my favorite cucumbers I grow every year. The Summer Dance Hybrid. And of course, 2 more zipper cream peas. Guys, down the next row right there is yellow squash. Y'all can see I got 3 good bushes, and I think them are, some of them is pick, and some of them's just a yellow squash. I don't know what variety they were, just some seeds I had bought locally. But y'all see, it ain't gonna be very long. I'm finna be eating some squash. They got squash on them and looking good. Down through that row is my peppers that I put out. I list them in the screen for y'all. It's 2 of each variety down that row. And also back there on the back on that side was 2 of another variety set out. I got it listed down, but I don't want to start calling them out because I have them in the wrong order. Same thing on my eggplants on this row. I planted these eggplants and I got 1 of each left in a greenhouse that looks better than these. But on this row, I forgot to mark them down which ones I planted first. But I know I got Black Beauty, Midnight, White Star, and Fairy Tale. But I can't remember which order I put them in, and I can't tell the difference in the plants. So I'm scared to pull up one of these plants to put in a better plant, because then I might pull up, say, a Black Beauty and stick in another White Star and end up with more of one than I do the other. So I'm gonna let them go and hopefully they'll start looking better. But you can see all this cold nights, all this rain. But guys, all this heat weather stuff, I planted out too soon this year. Our weather changed and we've been in the 50s for 3 to 4 weeks now. But ever since they've been put in the ground, the weather changed and we've had cold nights and lots of rain. We've had more rain and cloudy days than we've had sunny days. There's the bed of spinach. Steady been harvesting it, eating it, giving it away, giving it to the rabbits. And it just keeps growing faster than we can eat it. There's the onions that was planted in the spring. Some of these on this side is Texas Grand 502s. And these bigger ones over here was the Vidalia varieties. But they was planted in the spring, but yet they was bigger seedlings because I had them in the greenhouse from the fall. So you can see they making bigger onions. That's just that little triangle piece over there. Here's something I'm very proud of, guys. My Catarina cabbage. Ain't gonna be but a couple more days, maybe a week. Well, some of them ain't gonna make it a week, because Catarina cabbage only gets about 6 inches in diameter, and they are close to that. That right there could be eat today. And that's why I grow Catarina cabbage. It's only like a 55-day maturity in a small size. That way if our springs turn hot real quick. But this year's been a good year for spring greens and cool weather crops here where I live in northeast Louisiana. Guys, it's 10 to 12 degrees difference on our lows between northeast Louisiana and northwest Louisiana. Still got a bed full of romaine lettuce, but it's done got big enough. It's at the end now. In another week, that'll all be gone, or what's left to be just going to the rabbits. I did box up a box again this morning for a lady. There's all's left of my pak choys, which they done getting too big. Guys, unless I come out with a better way to cook up pak choys, this is my first year to grow them. And they ain't impressed me that much as far as eating wise, so if I do them next year, I won't use a whole bed. I may do like a half a bed of pak choy and a half a bed of something else that I really don't care about, just to fill in a bed to grow. But I've been trying them. Matter of fact, cut one this morning, took to the elderly lady I carried a box to. Over here is my cucumbers. These here's supposed to be the early spring. Guys, they looking rough. Cucumbers don't like cold weather neither. But they starting to bloom. I did throw me a couple more seeds in there you see popping up. And that done popped up and it's still so cold. That's what cold weather does to it, guys. Cold and wet. You get leaves looking like that right there and your weather's been cold. in the 50s. Like I said, a couple nights in the upper 40s. These cucumbers and warm weather crops do not like it. So I'm gonna let them go, because once I get over here to my sugar snaps, I'll show y'all. Guys, this is celery that's been going on since last year. Put it in the greenhouse this year, this pot, just to keep it going. Now, I ain't never seen nobody keep celery going. And I ain't no big celery eater. We eat a little bit of it and cook with it. But I want to show y'all how big the stalks are on these things. They turn into like trees down here. But you can cut these shoots off, and it tastes just like the other celery when it was small. Especially for cooking with. You cut them off like this one while it's young. These young ones, I can't tell no difference in it. Now, some of you celery growers out there may tell me the reasoning behind this ain't as good as other celery. I'm sure new celery will be tender, which I got that covered. I got another pot right on the outside of the fence there coming along with that spring celery just planted. Outside the fence is some rainbow chard. We ain't even harvested none off of that. That was some I started in the greenhouse just playing around early, and it's there. We got some holy basil. One holy basil, and it don't like the cold at all. Look how yellow it is. It looks terrible. Now the presto basil right here is handling the cold better. And it was looking real good when we got them 2 days of sunshine, but now we're back into the cloudy days and didn't get rain, so that's just how bad they look, guys. There's some more leaf lettuce. My 2 collards that I started back in the winter. We've eat off of it a couple of times. There's enough leaves there to eat another mess now, ain't it? Another Frida Mark blackberry. Like I said, they was getting on up there, so I trimmed them. Trimmed the tops off to make them bush out more. Lemon balm. That's been coming back year after year after year. My leaf lettuce, I just give it a thrashing yesterday to get my lettuce bowl in the icebox back refilled. I mix it with that romaine lettuce, little spinach, little pieces of kale we'll be looking at here in a moment. Makes for some good eating. Them Asian greens right there, I've liked them this year. That was my test run on them this year, just planting them in that bed there with them sugar snaps. And guys, for you who's been watching my videos, y'all know I was worried about my sugar snaps not blooming, thinking I had too much nitrogen. I don't know if y'all can see, but looks the blooms up there now. And they're getting loaded down with sugar snaps, which I'll be harvesting them in just a little bit. And I didn't even think about them yesterday. I ate a big salad last night and didn't even get none of these sugar snaps. But I've been working on them this morning, eating my hand garden snacks. You can hear me crunching on them. But I had 2 beds of them. This one over here I had radishes under. We didn't harvest all them radishes. Guys, look at the blooms. But I told y'all I was worried about that because of how much nitrogen was in that soil from me fixing all that quail poop and rabbit poop all this winter. And when I got worried about it, I put some high phosphate, I can't even say it, high phosphate in it to make up for that. And I think that's what put it into kicking out me some beans. This tomato right here is my tropical sunset cherry tomatoes that I love. And see, the tomato plants is handling the cool pretty good. Boy, they do get to jumping when we got them sunny days. But They doing good and look good. This one in this bigger round cage right here, that's the Honey Delight hybrid. Some of you remember it. That's the yellow tomato that is bigger than a cherry tomato, but it ain't a full-size tomato. But that thing may let me down this year, but the last 3 years, it stays making tomatoes all year long. It'll slow down when it's right up there in the end of August for a few weeks, and then it goes to pouring them back on. And it's loaded down with tomatoes every year until the frost gets it in the fall. That's the Honey Delight hybrid. This one right here is the Super Sweet 100 cherry tomatoes. Actually, I've never grown the Super Sweet 100s, but everybody talks about how good they are. They cherry tomatoes. And that tomato is really jumping in the last few days, starting to get blooms. But now last night we was in the mid-60s at night right ahead of this rain we're finna get, but then it's going to be cool back off again. So I'm gonna speed up, guys, and just go down through here. This bed here, I had some extra parsley. I stuck in there and it's got one holy basil. And the parsley and the basil don't look very good, but like I said, we're getting some more sun, everything's gonna look better. Now my strawberries I planted this year, these festivals, I started these from bare roots. These are from spring planted. So I've been keeping the buds pinched off and keeping the runners cut off, which I see I got some more runners this morning I need to cut off, trying to get them to make good roots again. These 3 tubs here with strawberries from last year. These here is the Camel Rosa. Now I'll show you a picture of what I got off of them this morning. But in the picture, I was missing about half of them. I eat them up there for breakfast. There's some more festival. I was gonna steal me some to eat off that this year when it started coming up. But then we had that late freeze and I cut them all the way back to the ground. And I said, well, I ain't gonna eat none this year to let them make sure they established good. There's a parsley in that tub that's been going on for 3 years now. I thought it was dead this year, but it keeps coming back. With them 3 plants right there. But all them seeds, a lot of that's grass, but it's supposed to be, and I may pronounce these herbs wrong, guys. I tried to start some in the greenhouse. They didn't start good, so I just put seeds out there. So I don't know what they look like, but I know a lot of that's weeds. But I ain't weeding nothing until they come up and see if any of the seeds taken. This is strawberries that was planted this spring. Chandler strawberries. Got a couple blooms I need to pinch off. Like I said, I've been steady pinching these off. And there's one runner got away from me. And since it was making roots, I set it in the dirt here. So it'll make itself create a new plant there. Once it creates and it gets roots on it going into the soil, then I cut the runner from its mother plant. There's some more calentulas planted right there, guys, and then that whole corner around this corner here in the ground there behind it's just scattered wildflower seeds, and planted some sunflower seeds in there. So hopefully later on this will just be a pretty flower corner. Got a lot of stuff coming up in there. Don't know how much of it's weeds. With wildflowers, it's hard to tell what's a weed and what's some type of flowers in a wildflower mix. That's gonna be my flower corner down here. Muscadines are doing great. Starting to make little clusters of little bitty muscadines on all of them. And this round bed here was where my mustard greens was, and when I finished them out, I had some extra tomato plants. And that's a Cherokee right there on this side. Right here on this side was a hyphenator, an extra one I had. And that one right there, I can't quite remember. I think it may have been an Indian stripe because little Colton done pulled my tag out. I can't remember. I think it may be an Indian stripe. But my plans is, it's kind of a testing for me this year. I'm gonna let them grow. They come over the tops of them cages and then just let them hang back down around that round bed and see how that works out. There's a bed that's got 4 zucchinis in it. And it's making every one of them's got some baby zucchinis. There's one down there. What y'all looking at there is dust that I put on there trying to keep the vine borer from lighting down there and taking them out before they get started. There's a longer one right there. They all got 3 or 4 on them, so it won't be long we'll be having them zucchinis. But they are doing good. They done filled that bed up. There's my Yukon Gold. You see I threw a little dust on them because I started seeing some stink bugs. But they look good. Unlike my other potatoes outside, them red Lesotos over there, they got a disease. They brown spot. They look terrible. Red Russian kale. And guys, I know y'all think, well, he's just growing stuff and don't never eat nothing off of that. I promise y'all, I've harvested. I harvested this morning. Now, when I say I harvested, I take a little box and I got some elderly ladies I take stuff to, and I cut a good bit of each. But this stuff grows fast. But you take it, and we ain't harvesting like to preserve it or nothing. We harvesting it enough to eat a mess at a time. So a little bitty 3-foot bed like that, if you ain't preserving it, it'll wait more than 3 or 4 families can keep eating unless you just eat it every day, every day. Prism kale. And all these kales, see, I like, when I come collect me some lettuce, I get me a couple stalks off of each one and pull it off and mix with our salads. Sometimes we eat it by itself, and sometimes I'll mix the kale, and like night before last, we mixed some of it in with some turnip green leaves. Had greens. Rainbow chard. Same thing, we just got some leaves in there I need to harvest and feed to the chickens today. Green egg squash. See, everything's dusted. That in there's got a squash on it. They all finna have a squash on it, but that over there's got one showing. And guys, if you never eat green egg squash, I know I got a lot of new viewers. A green egg squash tastes like a yellow squash, or at least this is my opinion. It's got the flavor of a yellow squash, but the texture is a little thicker and harder texture, kind of like going toward an eggplant, but not as much as the eggplant, but yet you can cut them and put them on the grill and they'll stay together, where yellow squash, you can't just lay on the grill and grill. Guys, this video is going to be long, so I'm going to do you a little spin around here, and then we'll do a part 2 in a couple of days.